Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve extraordinary success while others, who may even be more talented, remain stuck in mediocrity? It's not luck, it's not connections, and it's not even intelligence, it's habits. Because what you repeatedly do every single day shapes the quality of your life, your wealth, your health, and even your destiny. And today, I'm going to share with you 5 daily habits that, if you adopt them, will completely transform your life. But I'm going to warn you up front, these are simple, but don't confuse simple with easy. Because the simple things, when practiced daily, produce success, but when ignored, they produce failure. Success is not an accident, and it is never the result of just wanting something badly enough. If it were, everybody who ever dreamed of a better life would already be living it. The truth is, success is not built on hope. It is built on habits. What you do repeatedly on a daily basis is shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And here's the hook: if your habits remain the same, your results will remain the same. Change your habits, and you will change your destiny. Think about this for a moment. Every successful person you admire didn't get there by accident. They didn't stumble into success like they tripped and fell into a treasure chest. No, they built routines, disciplines, and patterns of behavior that aligned with where they wanted to go. Habits are like invisible architects designing the structure of your life. The frustrating part for most people is that they underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They look at big achievements and think, that's impossible for me. But the reality is, big achievements are nothing more than small habits compounded over time. Every dollar saved, every book read, every workout completed, every skill practiced, they all add up. Here's the real danger, though. Habits work in both directions. Just like good habits build success, bad habits build failure. Hitting the snooze button every morning is a habit. Complaining about your circumstances is a habit. Scrolling endlessly on your phone instead of learning, planning, or creating, that too is a habit. And those habits are just as powerful as the positive ones, except they are constructing a life of mediocrity instead of a life of mastery. You might not feel the impact today, but over time, those small negative habits silently rob you of your potential. One of the greatest lies people tell themselves is, it's just one time, it won't matter. That's where they get it wrong. One workout skip doesn't seem like a big deal. One fast food meal doesn't look like it'll change anything. But repeated over weeks, months, and years, it creates a completely different life. Here's the truth: habits don't ask for your permission. They operate automatically. And once a habit is formed, it quietly steers your life in the direction it's been programmed to go. That's why successful people don't just set goals, they build systems of habits that make those goals inevitable. Let me put it to you straight. If you want to transform your finances, your health, your relationships, your business, stop wishing and start practicing. If you want wealth, create the habit of saving, investing, and managing money wisely. If you want health, create the habit of eating clean, and moving your body daily. If you want strong relationships, create the habit of intentional communication and gratitude. Every outcome you desire is hiding behind a habit you haven't formed yet. That means the breakthrough you are praying for, the success you are chasing, the life you are dreaming of, it is waiting on the other side of consistent daily habits. Here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to start 10 new habits tomorrow. What you need is one small, powerful habit that moves you closer to the life you want. Because habits compound. One habit done daily is like planting a seed that grows into a forest. Over time, it becomes unstoppable. The hook is this: success doesn't come to the person who makes the biggest leap. It comes to the person who takes the smallest step every single day without stopping. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: what habits am I building right now that are constructing my future? Because whether you like it or not, you are already building. The only difference is some people are building by design and others are building by default. If you build by design, you will create a life you are proud of. If you build by default, you will wake up one day wondering how you got so far from where you wanted to be. Success is not built on hope, it is built on habits. And starting today, you have the power to choose which habits will write the story of your life. Words create worlds. The words you choose to speak every single day are not just sounds coming out of your mouth. They are instructions you're giving to your subconscious mind, blueprints you're laying down for your future, and seeds you're planting that will eventually grow into a harvest. Most people don't realize it, but they are literally talking themselves into defeat every morning. They wake up and the first words out of their mouth are complaints. I'm so tired, I can't catch a break, nothing ever works out for me. And then they wonder why their life looks exactly like the words they've been speaking. Here's the truth: your words have power, and they are either pulling you toward success or pushing you toward failure. Think about it this way: every time you speak, you are making a declaration to your brain and to the universe about what you believe is possible for you. If you constantly say, I'm broke, your mind accepts that as truth and begins searching for ways to keep you in that state. If you say, I can't do this, your brain shuts down the creative pathways that could have found a solution. But when you start saying, I am resourceful, I am capable, I am on my way to wealth and greatness, your subconscious starts working overtime to align your actions with your words. You may not see the results immediately, but over time, the reality you speak becomes the reality you live. Let me give you the hook. You cannot speak defeat and expect to live in victory. You cannot use the language of limitation and expect to walk in abundance. If your vocabulary is filled with excuses, complaints, and negativity, then your life will be filled with frustration, lack, and missed opportunities. On the other hand, if your vocabulary is filled with faith, vision, and possibility, then your life will naturally move in that direction. It is not magic, it is alignment. Your words create alignment between your thoughts, your actions, and your destiny. Here's what makes this even more powerful. Words don't just affect your mind, they affect your emotions, your energy, and even your physiology. Say, I'm exhausted enough times and your body will feel heavy, sluggish, drained. Say, I'm strong and energized, and watch your posture shift, your breathing deepen, your energy rise. Your body responds to the commands of your tongue. That's why it's so important to be intentional with what you say, especially about yourself and your future. Some people will roll their eyes and say, that's just positive thinking. But this is not about blind positivity. It's about training your brain to focus on possibility instead of limitation. It's about choosing the language that empowers you instead of the language that imprisons you. And here's another hook. Your environment may not always cooperate with your vision, but your words can always reinforce it. You might not control everything around you, but you absolutely control what comes out of your mouth. So here's the challenge every morning. Instead of waking up and repeating the same negative soundtrack, replace it with declarations of life and abundance. Say things like, today I am moving closer to my goals. Today I am operating with clarity and focus. Today, I am attracting opportunities that align with my purpose. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You might even feel like you're lying to yourself. But remember this, your words don't describe your reality, they create your reality. Speak it until you see it. Declare it until it manifests. The question you need to ask yourself is this: what kind of world am I building with my words? Because whether you're aware of it or not, your words are constructing something. They're either constructing a prison of limitation or a pathway to possibility. Every word is a brick, and every sentence is a wall, a doorway, or a foundation. If you want to live in a better future, you must first speak that future into existence. You must learn to use your words not as weapons against yourself, but as tools to design the life you desire. Because words don't just describe your world, words create worlds. Growth must be intentional. Nobody wakes up one morning accidentally successful. You cannot stumble into greatness. You cannot drift your way into abundance. And you cannot casually walk into a life of purpose. Success requires strategy, and growth requires intention. Most people live their lives on autopilot, doing the same things every day, thinking the same thoughts, surrounding themselves with the same people, and then they wonder why year after year looks exactly the same. If you want more, you must become more. And if you want to become more, you must grow deliberately. Growth doesn't just happen, it must be pursued with focus, discipline, and consistency. Here's the hook. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. There is no neutral ground in life. Every day, you're either moving closer to your potential or drifting further away from it. Some people say, I'll work on myself when I have more time. But time doesn't create growth. Growth creates more value for your time. Every minute you delay your personal development is a minute you push your breakthrough further into the future. You don't have time to wait. You must grow on purpose now. Think of your mind like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. If you don't stretch it, it shrinks. But when you challenge it with new ideas, new skills, new perspectives, it expands. Every book you read, every seminar you attend, every mentor you listen to, every skill you practice. It's like adding strength to that mental muscle. And just like working out, growth may not feel comfortable in the moment. It may feel difficult, even painful, but the results are undeniable. Small, consistent growth today becomes massive transformation tomorrow. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think growth is optional, something nice to do if they have extra time. But in reality, growth is the price you must pay for the future you desire. If you want to earn more, you must learn more. If you want to lead more, you must grow more. If you want to influence more, you must become more. The size of your income, the size of your opportunities, the size of your impact, it will never outgrow the size of your mindset. And let me be clear, intentional growth doesn't happen by accident. You don't grow just because you're getting older. Age and wisdom are not the same thing. Some people are 40 years old, but still think the way they did at 20 because they never invested in growing themselves. Intentional growth means creating a plan. It means scheduling time to read, to reflect, to learn, to practice. It means surrounding yourself with people who stretch you instead of people who shrink you. It means asking yourself every day, how am I better today than I was yesterday? Because growth that is not measured cannot be mastered. Here's another hook. Your future will not be determined by what you want. It will be determined by what you're willing to become. Wanting success doesn't make you successful. Wanting freedom doesn't make you free. Only growing into the kind of person who can handle success, who can sustain freedom, who can multiply opportunities. That is what makes the difference. Don't just chase opportunities, Chase the growth that makes you worthy of opportunities. So here's the real challenge. Stop waiting for the right time to grow. Stop waiting for life to hand you the perfect conditions. Growth is not convenient, it is necessary. And the more uncomfortable it feels, the more powerful it usually is. Growth stretches you, it challenges your excuses, it forces you to break patterns that no longer serve you. And that's exactly why it works. Because growth doesn't just change what you know, it changes who you are. And when who you are changes, everything around you begins to change as well. Your destiny is not waiting for a miracle, it is waiting for your growth. If you want a better future, you must first become a better you. That's the law of intentional growth. Action beats perfection every single time. One of the biggest traps people fall into is waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, or the perfect circumstances before they begin. They tell themselves, once I know more, once I'm ready, once the timing is right, then I'll start. And because of that mindset, they never actually move. Perfection becomes the enemy of progress, and hesitation becomes the silent killer of dreams. The truth is, the most successful people didn't start with perfection. They started with motion. They didn't have it all figured out, but they had the courage to take a step, and then another step, and then another. And here's the hook. Imperfect action always produces more results than perfect intentions. Think about it. You can plan for months, even years, but if you never take action, you'll stay in the same place. The person who takes messy, imperfect, unpolished action every day will always outpace the person who spends all their time preparing but never executing. The marketplace doesn't reward the one who thinks about doing something. It rewards the one who actually does it. Every opportunity you've ever missed was because action was delayed. Every breakthrough you're still waiting for is on the other side of a decision you haven't made yet. Perfection is often just procrastination dressed up in fancy clothes. We convince ourselves that we're just not ready, but what we're really doing is hiding behind preparation because we're afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, afraid of being judged. But here's the truth. You cannot avoid failure, and you cannot avoid rejection. The only way to succeed is to embrace action in spite of fear. Every failure becomes feedback, every rejection becomes redirection, and every mistake becomes a stepping stone. But none of those lessons can be learned until you act. Think of every successful entrepreneur, leader, or creator you know. None of them had flawless beginnings. Their first product wasn't perfect. Their first speech wasn't polished. Their first idea wasn't fully developed, but they launched anyway, and because they launched, they learned. They learned what worked, what didn't, what to adjust, and what to improve. Progress always comes through practice, not perfection. If you want to build momentum in your life, you must become a person of immediate action. Because momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from moving. Here's another hook. Action is the bridge between your dreams and your destiny. You can stand on one side of the river with all your dreams and desires, but until you build the bridge with consistent daily action, those dreams remain out of reach. That's why some people spend their whole lives talking about what they want to do or what they could do, but never experience the life they imagine. They never build the bridge. Don't let that be you. Start building even if your first bricks are crooked. You can straighten them later, but you must begin today. Taking massive, imperfect action also creates clarity. People think clarity comes first and then action follows. But in reality, action produces clarity. You learn more by doing than by thinking about doing. The steps you take today will reveal the steps you need to take tomorrow. The road appears as you walk it, not while you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for a perfect map. Action is what turns confusion into direction and vision into reality. So here's the challenge: stop overthinking, stop over-planning, stop waiting. You don't need perfect conditions, you need a committed decision. You don't need certainty, you need courage. You don't need everything lined up, you need to take the first step. Because once you move, everything else begins to align. The universe rewards motion, not hesitation. Faith rewards action, not excuses. Every single day you hesitate is a day you delay your destiny. Every single step you take is a step that compounds toward your future. The ones who win are not the ones who had it all figured out from the start. They are the ones who dared to start before they were ready. Action beats perfection, and it always will. Gratitude unlocks abundance. It is one of the most overlooked yet most powerful forces you can activate in your life. Most people think abundance comes only from hard work, from grinding longer hours, from chasing after opportunities. But the truth is, abundance flows to those who know how to recognize and appreciate what they already have. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It is about creating a mindset that shifts your focus from scarcity to sufficiency, from what's missing to what's present, from lack to possibility. And here's the hook. What you focus on expands. If you constantly focus on what you lack, you will see more lack. If you focus on what you already have, you create space for more to enter your life. Gratitude is not passive, it's powerful. When you practice gratitude daily, you are reprogramming your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You are training yourself to recognize blessings that others overlook. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It allows you to see beyond problems and identify potential. That shift in perspective alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. Because the truth is, no matter where you are, there is always something to be grateful for. And the moment you start acknowledging it, your energy changes, your attitude changes, your actions change, and eventually your outcomes change. Most people walk through life blind to the abundance around them. They wake up and complain about the job they hate instead of being thankful they have income to sustain them while they build something greater. They complain about their house being too small instead of being grateful they have shelter while they work toward their dream home. They complain about their challenges without realizing those challenges are shaping strength, discipline, and resilience inside of them. Gratitude doesn't deny reality, it transforms it. When you're grateful, you no longer see problems as punishment, you see them as preparation. And preparation is what equips you for abundance. Here's another hook. Gratitude is a magnet. The more thankful you are, the more reasons you will attract to be thankful. Gratitude creates a vibration that draws opportunities, resources, and relationships into your life. When people sense that you are genuinely grateful, they are more willing to work with you, invest in you, and open doors for you. Nobody wants to pour into a complainer, but everyone wants to support someone who walks in gratitude. Gratitude doesn't just connect you to God's abundance. It connects you to people who can multiply your opportunities. But here's where gratitude becomes unstoppable when you combine it with faith. Gratitude says, I thank God for what I have right now. Faith says, I thank Him for what I know is on the way. That combination creates an energy of expectation. It's not just thankfulness for the past or present, it's thankfulness in advance for the future. And when you begin to live in that state, doors begin to open, possibilities begin to expand, and abundance begins to flow in ways you couldn't have imagined. Gratitude with faith creates unstoppable momentum. So how do you apply this daily? Start your mornings not with complaints, but with declarations of gratitude. Write down 5 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Speak them out loud. feel the shift in your energy. Instead of saying, I have to go to work, say, I'm grateful I have a place to contribute my skills today. Instead of saying, I'm tired of struggling, say, I'm grateful I'm still standing and still moving forward. That one shift in language and perspective will reframe your entire day. The question is not whether you have reasons to complain. The question is whether you will choose to be grateful in spite of them. Gratitude does not ignore challenges. It empowers you to rise above them. Because gratitude doesn't just change what's in your bank account or what's in your house. It changes what's in your heart and in your mind. And once your heart and mind change, everything else follows. Gratitude is not just good manners. It's a strategy for abundance. Faith is the fuel that drives success. You can have skills, strategies, and resources, but without faith, you'll stall before you ever reach your potential. Faith is what gives you the courage to step out when everything around you says stay put. Faith is what allows you to believe in a future you cannot see yet, to take risks others are too afraid to take, and to keep moving forward when logic tells you to quit. And here's the hook. Fear and faith both demand that you believe in something you cannot see, but only faith will take you where you're destined to go. Most people live trapped by fear, and because of that, they play small. They wait until everything looks safe, until all the details are clear, until the outcome is guaranteed. But if you wait for certainty, you'll wait your entire life. Nothing worth having comes with a guarantee. The truth is, the most successful people you admire didn't have more certainty than you. They had more faith. They moved even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed, and that decision to move is what created the outcome they desired. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It's about seeing beyond it. Faith looks at the same circumstances other people see, but it interprets them differently. Where others see obstacles, faith sees opportunities. Where others see dead ends, faith sees detours. Where others see impossibility, faith sees potential. And that shift in perspective is what changes everything. Because the truth is, your results in life are never just about your skills. They are always about your belief. You will never rise higher than the level of your own belief in what's possible for you. Here's another hook. Faith doesn't eliminate fear. It overrides it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of fear. When you operate in faith, you acknowledge the fear but refuse to bow to it. You take action anyway. And the moment you take that step, fear begins to lose its grip. Every act of faith weakens fear's control over your life, and every act of fear strengthens it. That means every day you are feeding one or the other. Which one are you feeding? Faith also creates resilience. Life will test you. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and failures. But faith gives you the ability to keep going when others quit. Faith whispers, this is not the end. There's more ahead. Keep moving. Faith keeps you standing after you've been knocked down. Faith reminds you that what you're going through is temporary, but what you're growing into is permanent. That resilience is the difference between those who merely start and those who actually finish. Another dimension of faith is expectation. When you truly operate in faith, you begin to expect good things to happen. You wake up not just hoping, but knowing that opportunities are coming your way. That expectation changes your energy, your focus, and even how you show up in the world. People are drawn to someone who carries that kind of faith because it's magnetic. It inspires trust. It inspires action, and it inspires partnership. Faith doesn't just change what you believe. It changes how others believe in you. Here's the challenge. You cannot build your life only on what you see. If you only move when the path is clear, you will never discover new territory. Faith requires you to step into the unknown, to trust that the ground will appear beneath your feet as you move forward. It's like driving with headlights in the dark. You can only see a short distance ahead, but if you keep moving, you'll reach the destination. That's how faith works. You don't need to see the entire staircase, you just need to take the first step. Faith is not passive, it's active. It's not just believing, it's believing and acting as if what you believe is already on the way. When you combine faith with action, you become unstoppable. Because faith without action is just wishful thinking, but faith with action is the formula for transformation. That is how you turn vision into reality, how you move from possibility into manifestation. Faith is not just a belief. It is a decision to trust, to act, and to persist even when you don't have all the answers. It is the fuel that takes you beyond talent, beyond resources, beyond logic, into a realm of possibilities others never reach. And the moment you choose to live by faith, you step into a level of success and abundance that fear could never deliver.